everybody? College basketball is heading toward March. Really, one more month of the regular season, then we get into March Madness. Wanted to start doing some live shows here for you all, break down our sheet, break down a few top plays. Going to try to keep them as quick as I can, especially during the week. And especially today on a 2-game slate that we have here. So I'm excited to do this for you all leading into March Madness. A lot of big slates. Everybody, still trying to get, myself at least, still trying to get a ticket into the Bracket Mania or whatever it's called this year. I think it's called something different. But definitely excited to knock off some college basketball with you guys. So if you've not joined us over at patreon.com/Jagerbombs, be sure to do so. If you want one sport, $10, all sports. And I think there's more than 10 going on right now. That's $20 per month. I'm going to walk you through our cheat sheet that is available every day. Has projections. We also, we have rates for season long, per 40, and then also per 40 over the last 5, which, I give a weighting so that we do have some dynamic rates to go through the year to base our projections on. So really good things to see. I try to update this daily. You'll see some highlights of favorite plays. That's usually done at the very least a few hours before lock, or at least an hour before lock, I'll say. Rankings pretty much every day. Maybe on some short slates we don't have that. I'm going to try to do those as much as possible. Still have a busy sports work week, as you could imagine. So this is kind of the key for core plays, GPP plays, value plays, cash game only. That's always on the sheet under the legend tab. We have this for every sport, whichever one of us is doing, plays for that sport, whether it's Chris, myself, or Kenny for NBA. We highlight the same way so that you guys know who we're building around for core plays, GPP, mixing those in as high upside potential plays, value plays. For me, college basketball, that's under 5,000 even and under. I also highlight plays that are injured or out, and then also ones that are questionable, and we'll see that here. But just to kind of give you a quick overview of the slate today, only 2 games, like I mentioned, both totals exactly the same. We've got the early one, which is Duke traveling to Miami as a 3-point dog and a 146.5 total. Then we have Texas traveling to Kansas as a 4.5-point dog, same total, 146.5. This sheet on the cheat sheet is always here so that you can see the Vegas info, the team record, both overall, conference, home and away. Then you have the team stats, which is offensive rating, points, a lot of advanced stats here, and then how well they rebound, assists, steals, how they've been shooting, things like that. So that just kind of gives you an overview to see maybe what games we're targeting for high pace, things like that. We've got this pace column here, and column O is how much over or under the average pace in the country these teams are. So you can see Duke is 2 under average on pace. Miami is pretty much even, and then both Texas and Kansas are both over the average pace here in the country. So going to go ahead and jump right in. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. If you look here, we're going to start with Duke. I'm going to go team by team. We have our DK price projection, minutes projection, fantasy points per minute, which is a mix of season long rates at 70% and then last 5 rates at around 30%. Then you can see the points per dollar, what that projection is, point per dollar. This is something I try to update as if we get news, say Proctor or something is ruled out for Duke, I'll allocate the minutes elsewhere and update that here on the cheat sheet. You still have the Vegas info, so you can see for that specific player the pace of the game. If you're between two guys, you can do say Lively versus McCullough or something, and you're in between those two. You can say use that maybe as a tiebreaker, and then you've got the rates. So you've got the season stats per 40. Of course, those rates are not a per game. Like I said, they're per 40. So those are elevated from what they would be per game. But that helps us, build these projections out here. Usage is a pretty big one. So you can sort this by team. And usually I'm going to have an all players tab by salary, then an all players tab by team. You can just easily see, who has the most usage over the season. Is that different over the last 5 games? Out here to the right in the light blue, same stats as season long, but this is over the last 5 if we've had some differences. So then you here have out to the right injury status. And when I highlight somebody is out, or put O in the injury status, it'll mark them as red over on the player. So jumping right into Duke today, like I said, on the road as a dog, 3-point dog. Filipowski, we saw them get a big win over North Carolina over the weekend. Filipowski is the highest priced guy on the slate today. Not the biggest, well, actually, it is the biggest projection by 0.1 over Jalen Wilson. But he's $400 more in a bit of a tougher matchup, I believe. I'm going to side with Jalen Wilson, who we'll get to in a minute. So Filipowski would be the pivot for me at the very top. Projects out very, very well. 4.39 point per dollar, 1.2 fantasy points per minute, getting around. I'm giving him 36 minutes. Jeremy Roach, all these other guys are in the mid range. So Roach has played max minutes these last couple games. I think he played all 40 against North Carolina. This is another close projected game. I'm giving him 37. Of course, not the per minute producer that a guy like Lively or Filipowski is. 0.71 still projects out pretty well at 6,200. Lively, I'm giving him a little bit of boost in minutes here. You're going to see him split down the middle pretty much evenly with Ryan Young. So I'm giving those two combined 40 minutes per game here. So Lively, I'm giving him 25. I had been right around the 20-20 mark. I'm giving them, based on the way he played over the weekend against North Carolina and the way he's really been playing recently, I think they have to just continue to up his minutes. So I'm giving him 25 and Young 15 here. That makes Lively right out as the best point per dollar play for me on Duke. Of course, if he plays the minutes he played against North Carolina, which he does have a matchup that could need that with Miami here down low. So I don't think he quite goes over 30, but if he gets 25 minutes, again, he rates out as a very good play. Not a guy that's going to score a ton, but he's a rebound, putback guy, defensive guy with blocks and steals like we saw against North Carolina. He can put up a number for us. Tyrese Proctor has really came on. Really impressed with what I saw out of him and Roach against North Carolina. 5,800. He rates out over 4X for me here at 33 minutes. What you're going to notice and why I like this last 2 months of the season in college basketball is these rotations tend to condense a lot as we get closer to March, closer to the big dance, conference tourney season. You're going to see these rotations scrunch in for some of these better teams like Duke. So Proctor is getting more and more minutes. I'm giving him 33 here, like I said, over 4X. Mark Mitchell, 5,500, rates out as a solid play for me. I'm giving him over 30, 5,500. So all those guys are in play on this 2-game slate for me. Of course, I'm probably not playing like 3 or 4 of these guys, but definitely 2 I could see. The way that I rank the Duke guys would be Lively. Roach and Proctor are right behind him, very close. Take your pick there. If you need the extra 400, don't hesitate to go to Proctor. Mark Mitchell would be a GPP option at just below them in price, but I do prefer to get up to Proctor or Roach there. Like I mentioned, Ryan Young, I just see his minutes going down a little bit with the emergence of Lively. Grandison, pretty much no play zone for me here on any of the rest of the Duke guys. Moving on to Kansas, Jalen Wilson, I mentioned he was my favorite pay-up option here. He's been playing 39, 40 minutes pretty much consistently here recently, and I don't see any reason he doesn't here. This is a pretty big game at home against Texas, two really good teams. I think we see him play, barring foul trouble, 39 to 40 again. So I'm not going to project foul trouble in there, so I'm giving him 39 minutes, 1.1 fantasy points per minute. In our model here, 4.5x is what he's projecting out at. Of course, has upside for more. We've seen it this year. So he's my preferred spend up. Kevin McCullough is going to be one of the priorities for me here in the mid-range at 6,900. He rates out very well at 34 minutes. He's got back up to that. Again, barring foul trouble, he's about a point per minute guy. So if he's closer to 5x projection here on this slate, I'll go there. The other guys, you've got Grady Dick. Of course, he's the shooter of the bunch. His game has come along a lot, though, this year to give us some more peripherals. If he gets hot, he's more of a GPP option for me. If he gets hot, he can put up a big number. He's still rating out as 4X at 6,800. I prefer McCullough by quite a bit, though. As you can see straight up, McCullough is projecting for me 6 points more. So I'll go there. KJ Adams has been very volatile with his minutes. He's been very volatile with his production. Don't think I'll get there. DeJuan Harris, 6K. He's the guy that's going to play, tons and tons of minutes, but is not a good fantasy point producer, 0.68. But just with volume, if he has a hot shooting night, he is going to crush. So more of a GPP, or he's he's one of those plays. I like to say he's a good cash play at 6K, but he also has viability for GPPs because, like I said, if he gets hot and has one of those hot shooting nights, he can get you into the 30s and give you more than this 4X projection for sure. The rest of Kansas is pretty much a no-go for me after him. So definitely prefer Wilson and McCullough. Probably going to be building around them quite a bit tonight. And then if you want to add in one of those other guys like a Dick for GPP or Harris, I would prefer him to KJ Adams. Miami is going up against Duke here. You got Omie, 8,300, projecting it at a little over 4X. He's the matchup that I mentioned that you could see some more lively going up against him. I much prefer myself Isaiah Wong at 7,600. Projects at 4.2 at 34 minutes. I think he could even play a few more minutes than that here. So he's my preferred Miami piece if I'm paying up. Jordan Miller is right there. He's very viable as well if you need the 500 of savings. And then Wooga Poplar playing very good right now, 25 minutes for me projected. One of the better value plays on the slate at a little over 4X, 4,600. That's kind of where I stop. If you want to take a GPP, shot, if you're stacking this game up, I lean towards stacking the Kansas Texas game a little more than this one. But if you're stacking the game up, I have no problem throwing in a Pack or a Miller, maybe with a Wong and Poplar or something like that. But if you're looking at single entries or cash games or some of the smaller field qualifier satellites, things like that, I'm going to prefer Wong and Poplar quite a bit. And after you pass Poplar, I don't think any of the other guys have viability for Miami. Lastly, to close this out, you've got Texas. Marcus Carr had a very good season so far. I prefer Timmy Allen for the 1K discount to him right now. Allen playing very well. I'm projecting him for around 30 minutes here, 4.2x at that projection of 27 for him. So I prefer the $1,000 savings, but Carr is definitely in play. Hunter has been coming on a little bit. He's not been a great fantasy point producer this year, but he's getting he has upside for a lot of minutes, and I'm giving him 32 here, and he rates out decently. Jabari Rice can be very volatile with minutes. We've seen him get close to 30. We've also seen him stay around 15. I'm giving him 20. If he gets hot, he could definitely pay off that 5,600 price tag. I wish he was cheaper, and I would get to him a little bit more here. But if you're multi-entering the $1, 20 max or something like that, I have no problem sprinkling him in. Dylan Dessou is a guy that rates out very well for me, actually the best point per dollar on Texas, but he is very volatile. So I have him listed as a GPP play. If he can stay out of foul trouble close to 1 fantasy point per minute, I think he could definitely put up a number here. But, GPP only, because we've seen a lot of volatility. If you're multi-entering and you want some Dessou, you could play a guy like Christian Bishop for him, as a pivot. Dylan Mitchell would be my favorite value play for them. He rates out at 3.3, at only 3,700. So I think he is in play as well. So, just to sum this up, I'm going to sort this back, by salary at the top. I'm looking Jalen Wilson, prioritizing him and Kevin McCullough. Those two may be the first two guys in for me for Kansas, and then I'm building around that. So I'm probably going to have Lively in there as well. So that would be my 3-man core for this 2-game slate: Wilson, McCullough, and Lively. And then from there, you're going to probably want to pick a value, 1 or 2 of Wooga Poplar and Dylan Mitchell is where I'm going there. So if you have any questions, feel free to shoot them in the chat. You can go a lot of different ways on this slate, this smaller slate. But like I said, take some shots if you're playing a GPP. But that's where I would build around for single entry cash games. Wilson, McCullough, Lively, plus value. Good luck to everybody today. Hopefully I'll be back tomorrow, hoping to grab some time. Of course, Tuesdays are always one of the bigger slates for college basketball. So good luck to everybody tonight, and let's get going in this week.